Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video, and this is actually the start of a brand new series on my second channel. Now, for those of you that have obviously only really sort of ever seen my main channel, you obviously know that I upload F1 content over there, but this one was sort of meant to be dedicated to sort of more, you know, obscure leagues, different leagues, obviously the things that probably, you know, the F1 subscribers wouldn't be so interested in. But I've been recently, you know, sort of, I'd walk back into my room and I'd look at my PlayStation over there gathering dust, as well as my Drive Hub. Yeah, I'd probably spent a little bit too much money on, you know, so I could actually play on my PS4 on Gran Turismo Sport with a wheel, because I'm absolutely shocking at this game on a pad. And I really thought to myself, you know, I needed desperately to get back into GT Sport. The online, I actually forgot when I got back onto this, I forgot how just really good it is. It's pretty much just a console version of iRacing. You know, obviously a little bit, you know, simple as well, but, you know, I'm really sort of a big fan of that style of racing. You know, I want to get back into iRacing as well, but obviously this is sort of like the alternative to that for me at the moment. But yeah, I really wanted to get back in to GT Sport, and I thought, you know, this would probably be the best way to do it, and this is going to be a Road to Rank S series. I must say, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to achieve Rank S. I'm not even sure if you physically can. I don't know if it's limited to a certain amount of people or anything. That probably explains how much of a noob I am on this game once again, but I felt Road to Rank S probably has more flow than Road to Rank A, so that's why I've gone with that name. But it's pretty much just going to be, you know, sort of, I aim to do this sort of twice weekly videos of just me on Gran Turismo Sport. As you can see with the wheel cam, I must apologise as well that it's on that side. I will be swapping it over to the other side of the screen for the future. The first two episodes are recorded on this side, but from then on it's going to be hopefully on the other side every time, because I didn't realise obviously until I got into racing that it was covering over the radar, which obviously makes it a little bit difficult for you guys to know what is going on. So I can only apologise for that. As I said, it will be fixed for episode 3 of this series. But yeah, I sort of wanted to try and get back into GT Sport there, as that was a absolutely horrific Elgato lag there. Hopefully that's not a common issue throughout this recording. But yeah, I just wanted to get back in to GT Sport, and I felt, you know, doing the online this way would probably be the best way of doing so there. Set a 2-minute 8.5, which, you know, considering this was my first laps back on this game in, honestly, about 2 months, I was quite happy with that on the whole, you know, to be able to get back in to this game, and hopefully, you know, just really wanted to try and enjoy it again. But as you can see, ready then for this race, we will be starting in P6. Quite a lot of Spaniards in this race, and obviously the aim is just to keep it clean, you know, just to try and make sure that we can gain some rating. As I think you can see at the top right hand side of your screens, I'm currently a safety rating of B, and then as you can see there, a driver rating of D. So obviously the aim is to try and get those both up nice and quickly there, but quite a tight little grid. Now the two guys just around me are very close in terms of PBs, but a lot of mistakes on my qualifying laps as well. So obviously the aim is just to try and get, you know, a quicker qualifying time over the next few rounds there. But here we go then, the first ever race. I'm actually doing this in Group 4 in the Lamborghini Huracan. I sort of wanted to go with the Group 4 cars for this. I do really enjoy the Huracan as well. It's quite good fun to drive on this game. I'm not too sure if it's massively underpowered or whatnot, but it's lights out then, and away we go then for my first ever race in Road to Rank S on Gran Turismo Sport. It's actually been a fairly mediocre start there. I think we're going to have the Spaniard just behind me. He's going to probably be able to give me a little bit of a run down in towards turn 1. The aim for me was just to try and keep it clean. As you can see there, a lot of drivers trying to dive from each other. I'm just going to try and hold it to the outside there, actually drop a couple of positions off the launch there, as everyone else tries to keep it nice and tidy there. An Audi has just appeared inside me there. I'm not really too sure how that has happened there, but we're just about going to be able to keep it clean there, running almost into the back of the Audi, having to be so tentative in the mid-pack of these races there. I think we've got a horrifically painted Scirocco up the inside there, as well as a Renault Megane there, so it has not been the best of starts in this race. Sick all the way down to P11 there. Renault Megane so slow off the exit of the corner there, as I think the Spaniard in the Audi dives up his inside to get a little bit of a punt from another Huracan there, as we get squeezed out on to the grass as we come now down in through the middle sector of this German Grand Prix circuit. Nürburgring, obviously, for those of you that weren't aware, but we've survived the first few corners of this race. Unfortunately, as I said, you know, we've dropped a huge amount of places there, from 6th all the way down to 12th, and this Lamborghini on the inside lagging around just a little bit, so we'll have to be a little bit careful around him over these next couple of laps. But, you know, this is sort of the important thing. You know, every episode of this series I sort of wanted to have a little bit of a point to it as well, and this is sort of just a story of keep it clean and don't give up. in these races. We tried to go for the switchback on the Lambo. He's just going to completely squeeze me out wide and then dive up the McGann's inside there. Not a particularly good driver, so we'll certainly have to watch for him. The McGann is, I think, going to rejoin just behind me there. He's going to try and keep the nose up at the inside there. As you can see, the Frenchman in the Lamborghini just in front of me there has actually now picked himself up a time penalty. They'll have to try and get rid of over these next couple of laps. But yeah, the point then I think of this first episode is, although it might go badly at the start, keep driving, keep it clean, and you know, you might be able to get some good results in the end. They're almost running to the back of the Lamborghini. I think there might have been a tiny bit of contact between the pair of us there, and now I think the Renault is, he thinks about having a look up the inside of the final corner there. We're going to give him the room on the inside. I do quite like to use the radar on this game, but I don't think the Arrow is a particularly brilliant representation of your car. I wish it sort of almost like a heli Corsa kind of thing like they have on Assetto, which I think is probably one of the best radar systems in any game whatsoever. Breaking down in towards T1, there are a little bit of an incident between a couple of Hurricanes ahead of me there. We've got the Frenchman, who is still not looking like the cleanest driver in the world, and I'll say now the Austrian, sorry, just in front of him there, is also not the best racing driver in the world on the whole, so we'll certainly be watching out for these guys. So you can just see the Hurricane just in front of me though, not taking the smoothest lines. We're going to be able to get a very good run on the exit of the corner. He's just going to park it in the middle of the road, but we're going to be nice and cleanly past him as we break down in towards the second sector of this lap. They're going to be able to use all the track space there. And Renault McGann has just appeared out of thin air. That's quite nice. That's another place made up. So we're already back up into P9 of this Grand Prix there. So it has been a quite good little start from myself there in the end. Only, you know, it's going to be a recovery drive, certainly. But obviously it's just about trying to keep it nice and clean as the Austrian here of Don Chris, who is still just ahead of me here. We're set in purple sectors though. I'm sure pretty much everyone is, as well as we come up through the Schumacher. It's a really horrible corner. I couldn't take it flat in the first couple of races, but I've done a few more races around this circuit and I've been able to take it flat later on in these videos. So, you know, certainly it's a lot about just trying to, you know, I'll look back on these videos hopefully in a couple of months and think, wow, I've really been able to improve since then there. But getting a quite a good run out onto the back straight on the Hurricane just ahead of me here. Are we going to be able to have a sniff up the inside at any point around these final couple of corners there? Breaking down in towards the chicane in just a second there. He's going to shut the door on me there. He's also going to look up the inside of the Scirocco there. That is not a clean move by the Hurricane there. I'm not too sure if he outbroke himself and just tried to take evasive action there, but it's actually all come out quite alright for everyone there. He's going to send it up the inside of the Scirocco through the final corner there. That was certainly not a good move once again, but we're going to be able to capitalise on that. Going to be able to move past the hideously painted Scirocco, so hopefully we won't have to look at that all too much more. But he's going to have the slipstream, and slipstream on GT Sport is quite powerful on the whole, so he's going to be able to have a look up around the outside even. He's going to shut the door on me as we come down in towards someone there. I'm not too sure if he made contact with the Hurricane just ahead of him there, but it was a very aggressive diving move there as he shuts the door as we come through turn 2 there. Runs massively wide with the front wheel drive on that car, so we're going to be able to comfortably now move back up into P8 of this Grand Prix. The Hurricane, the Austrian there, just making a little bit of a mistake as he comes through the next couple of corners here. And now once again we're going to be able to get a good run as we come now down in towards sector 2. Are we going to be able to have a dive up the inside? We think about just sticking the nose in there, but back out of it nice and early. You know, I know a lot of these guys aren't afraid to shut the door even if you have got the front end in there, but we do get a good run out of the next corner there as there's a McLaren and an Audi battling there. The McLaren is going to notice that I'm trying to go for that run there, block very aggressively there, and I'm not going to try and make it 3 wide down in towards the hairpin there. Even more contact. The Hurricane just gets absolutely shunted off the road there, so I will capitalise on that place as well. And once again, just proving keeping it clean, you know, not keeping the nose in there at any given opportunity is actually helping me out as we come up through the Schumacher crest. You know, we've mainly been able to capitalise from other people's incidents there, which is obviously really ideal on the whole. You know, not really putting our car into too much risk there. The Hurricane thinks about having a look down the inside of the next corner. The McLaren just absolutely parks it on the exit of this corner. That's going to give us a bit of a better run out onto the back straight. That we're going to have a look up the inside there, try and make sure that he sees that we've got on the inside there. He's going to give me a bit of a squeeze over the curves. Actually not too bad there. And now we are back up into P6 of this race, but we will have the outside into the hairpin, trying to break nice and late there. A bit of contact actually coming from the Hurricane behind me there. I think he actually was able to punt both of us as we came down into the hairpin there. But the McLaren will then move back up into P6 of this race. We're going to try and hold it up the inside of the Huracan there, just behind me as we come out of the final corner there. Able to keep that move there, and I think that, yeah, the South African has actually picked himself up a time penalty there. A little bit unfortunate on the whole, as I think, you know, he was actually punted by the Huracan just behind me, you know, but he could have given me back place nonetheless. But, you know, he's going to have a look. One of the weirdest lines I think I've ever seen going into turn 1 at the Nürburgring, going oddly, extremely defensive as he came down in towards that turn 1 corner there. But we're going to try and capitalise, get a good run on the exit there, but unfortunately just absolutely nowhere to go. And once again, McLaren taking a very, very defensive style as we come through these next couple of corners there. We're going to try and, well, we do probably clip that curb a little bit too much, run a little bit wide out of the next corner here. But overall, you know, we're keeping it fairly clean, fairly tidy. I'll hardly say we're gaining any sort of big advantages from that. The Huracan, though, once again dives it down my inside. The yellow flags are out. I'm not too sure what that is all about. The McLaren runs very wide once again, though we have to almost take a little bit of evasive action there, but we will be on the inside. Avoid the cone as we come down towards the bottom of the hill here, and we're going to keep it down on the inside. Not going to try and outbrake him, just sort of match his braking point, so we hold it nice and tidily on the inside. They're able to use all the track space on the exit, and that means we are now back up into P6 of this race so far. So we're now back up to where we started in this Grand Prix, which, you know, considering we were all the way down to P12 there just 4 laps ago, I will certainly take in the early stages of this Grand Prix. And as I said, you know, just really, really important you try to keep it clean there. And as I talk about that, the Huracan has come from absolutely nowhere to send it back up my inside here. Certainly not the best driver in the world there, but, you know, we'll try and, you know, keep it clean, make sure that in the end, hopefully cheaters don't, well, I hardly say it's cheating, I just say it's terrible driving by him, but obviously hoping by the end of this race that we don't end up behind him, because hopefully, you know, drivers don't learn that dive bombing does equal success in the sense that he is doing it here, because, well, it simply doesn't on the whole. All you end up doing is costing both of you time in the end of the Grand Prix there, and it's really not the best way to go ahead with your driving there, as he runs massively wide out of the final corner there. That's going to be a huge mistake from him, so we're going to try and look to capitalise as we come down this long front straight here. Are we going to try and look up the inside in towards C1? He's not going to go defensive there, which I was quite surprised by, but we're going to break nice and tidily there as we come down in towards turn 1, try and keep the nose nicely on the inside there. He's going to give me a squeeze. We're going to try and run him a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, but he's just, is he? No, yeah, he is going to keep it up the inside there. I had to sort of back out of it there as I was a little bit unsure of what he was going to try and do there, which is really, really key, because now he knows that any time he sticks the nose in, I'm going to try and, you know, back away from any potential moves that he is going to try and make. So we really, really need to try and shake off that sort of trait in this race. You know, from now on, you know, if he's going to try and have a send down the inside, we're going to really, really try and defend from it, because we cannot give these guys the psychological advantage of thinking, you know, he can just dive bomb wherever he feels like, and is able to capitalise from it. So down in towards the hairpin here, we're going to try and keep the nose of the inside there. He's not going to shut the door, just about gives me the room on the inside there. He tries to shut the door halfway through the corner, and now that really, really is absolutely what we need to do there. But we're going to be side by side up towards the Schumacher rest there. We're going to back out of it, because, well, it would be absolutely suicidal to try and keep it nice and side by side through there. But we're going to get a much better run on the exit of the corner. Once again, trying to have a look to the outside of him. He's going to give me a bit of a squeeze onto the AstroTurf there. Not really the best defensive manoeuvre there, and he's really, really trying to play a bit of psychological warfare here as we reach the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. So it's going to be absolutely critical in this second half of the race that we don't let him, you know, play the psychological advantage. We need to make sure that we keep trying to defend our position, you know, making sure that we don't just back out of any opportunity that we are given there. But the fuel light has now flashed up, so we are going to dive it into the pits on the end of this lap as well there, as we come through the final chicane there. Everyone pretty much is going to dive it into the pit lane. I can confirm in another race I've actually been able to take the car a little bit further in the pit stops there. But actually, this is another thing that I'm huge fan of in GT Sport, and this is the pits, because it is absolutely fantastically done on this game on the whole. You know, it's so well done. I'm a really big fan of it, you know, especially for things like endurance racing and everything on the whole. You know, you get the tyres and then you simply just decide where you want to stop the fuel on the whole, though, which, as I said, you know, is absolutely revolutionary. We're going to overfuel just a bit because, well, you know, first race you're a little bit unsure of what to expect there. So we're actually going to lose out quite a bit of time to the cars ahead of me there. Probably not the best thing to do, but, you know, it gives me a bit of clean space. There's a Frenchman and the Austrian in the Huracan there. He's going to rage quit the race there after that, if I'm not mistaken. So that moves us back up into P7. It's going to be P6 there, as the McGann, I think, is willing to give him back up the place, but I think he may have just quit the race there. So 2 places up, I'm certainly... So we're going to skip on just a little bit further on then, because obviously these videos are going to be probably around 20 minutes in length anyway on the whole there. As you can see, skipping on then to lap 8, and you can see the top, well, 2nd through to 4th, but an absolutely titanic battle throughout the entirety of this race. I was actually able to set the fastest lap of this race as well on a 2:08.1, which I was quite happy with at this stage of the race there. But yeah, the 3 guys just ahead of me were having an absolutely titanic battle, which meant that we were really able to close up absolutely massively over these last couple of laps here. So obviously looking, you know, potentially you can see 2 of them at the road do actually have penalties in this race as well. So as we come now down in towards the final lap of this Grand Prix, it could be an absolutely fantastic chance to try and capitalise on these guys. You know, if they keep battling, you can, you know, keep locking horns as we come down into this final lap. You know, even if I just sit behind them, as long as they don't get rid of their penalties, we could really capitalise here as we come down in this final lap of the Grand Prix. Obviously, just having a look through this race, and I think it was fairly clear to say, is there's actually a little bit of contact between the pair of them there, just a little bit further up the road. But as I was saying at the start of this video, you know, the aim was, you know, every race has got a bit of a story to it, and this one certainly was just keep it clean and you can capitalise in these races. As I said, you know, we had an absolutely horrific start to this race, but we've been able to capitalise. You know, we've been able to move all the way back up to P5 through just keeping it clean, you know, letting other drivers have their battles there, and, you know, it's really paid dividends over the course of this race. But still 1 more lap to go. The Mitsubishi is going to have a look up the inside there. We're going to try and hold it right around his outside. There's going to be 3 wide down in towards turn 1 there. The Audi getting absolutely muscled out by both of the Mitsubishis there as we come through. Just, you know, just trying to keep my own track space. You know, I'm not going to try and send it up the inside of everyone just yet. All of us running a little bit wide there. Unfortunately, I sort of followed everyone's line through there. Picked myself up a 1-second penalty there. But the Mitsubishis have run absolutely horrifically wide there. The Audi is ghosting through the pair of them as well here. This is an absolutely fantastic 4-car battle here as we come in towards this final lap of the Grand Prix there. The Mitsubishi is just going to slot in behind the Audi to send an absolutely dive bomb. No, the Audi is able to run massively wide himself there. Avoid the contact. The Mitsubishi squeezing me out of the road there as we try to look around at the outside. He runs me out into the gravel, which I was not a big fan of there. And, well, unfortunately that means that I'm going to drop quite a way behind these guys on the whole there. He is going to pick himself up another penalty though, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is absolutely fair on the whole, because, well, let's be honest, he shoved me off the road entirely there. It was a little bit frustrating that battle was shaping up to be absolutely fantastic as we came through the final few corners of this race. But unfortunately, you know, he's decided that he doesn't want any of that. So we're going to try and shake off this penalty. If I'm not mistaken, it was actually, unfortunately, the only penalty I was able to pick up in this race. And I didn't actually realise this until I did a clean race further on down the line. But you actually get a double bonus if you keep it completely clean. So I'll certainly be, you know, looking to do that through as many races as I possibly can. You know, a huge incentive over the course of these races on the whole. So we're going to try and get rid of our penalty there. You know, we don't want to finish with a time penalty in this race. And now, you know, we're going to have a look down in towards the final chicane. The fuel is once again running low. As I said, you know, probably put a little bit too much fuel in the car on the whole in this race. But still, you know, to finish with, you know, a lap spare is probably quite safe. Rather be safe than sorry, as the old saying goes. But through the final corner then, I'm not too sure where we're going to be able to end up coming. The guy just ahead of me has actually slowed down to get rid of his penalties there, so we are actually going to be able to capitalise on that. Claim P4 in the end there, just bringing up the fist ever so slightly. You know, happy with P4 at the end of that Grand Prix there. But there we are then, guys. That has been the first ever episode of my Road to Rank S in GT Sport here. Really did enjoy that race. Forgot how absolutely fantastic Gran Turismo Sport is on the whole. And as I said, you know, we'll be really looking to do a whole lot more of these over the coming weeks. The aim is probably sort of twice weekly, but obviously with F1 content really sort of taking, you know, the top priority on over the course of my channels over these next few weeks. You know, I might not be able to match that overall, but as I said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're new around here as well. If you're interested in F1 content, check out my main channel as well. You know, it's linked absolutely everywhere around this second channel on the whole. I will say now, I was actually able to gain a little bit of rating. No, I was a bit closer to making it 2 rank C, as I think I actually didn't gain any sort of safety rating at the end of that race. Unfortunately, I didn't actually leave it in from this first round, but I do make sure after pretty much every other video that I do, you know, sort it out, make sure that there is, you know, sort of a ranking at the end of each video. But yeah, let me know down as well in the comments if you have any tips for this, you know, how to improve this series on the whole. But as I said, I will see you guys next time for another Road to Rank S in GT Sport.